At the onset of my teaching career, I was applying to Delhi University as an assistant professor. I distinctly remember the application form that I was filling had a long section where I had to fill up details of each and every research publications. However, there was a condition that they will only consider and give points for those research publications that were published in a peer-reviewed journal. That was my first encounter with the importance of publishing in a peer-reviewed journal. However, it was much later on when I myself became an editor of a peer-reviewed journal that I was able to understand exactly how this peer-reviewed process works and why is it so important. So in today's video, this is what is going to be the theme of our video. So in case even you want to know more about peer-reviewed, what exactly is this journal type, why is it so important, then stay tuned with your one and only PhD mentor, advisor and trainer, Dr. Ritika Gauba. In today's video, we are going to cover these 6 essential areas. Number 1, in section 1, we are going to discuss with you what is the meaning of the words peer-reviewed. From there, we will move on to the second section where we are going to define for you what is a peer-reviewed journal. And the third part of this video, in the third section, we are going to explain you in detail the peer review process or what happens after you've submitted your manuscript to a peer-reviewed journal. At number 4, we are going to explain how you can identify a peer-reviewed journal. At number 5, we are going to explain the meaning of referee journal and how they are same or different from a peer-reviewed journal. At number 6, we are going to explain why exactly is it so pertinent to publish in a peer-reviewed journal. So without any further ado, let us start with our section 1, where we are going to tell you the meaning of the word peer and review. The word peer, as per Webster's dictionary, means someone with equal standing or status, whereas the word review means to critically examine something. If we combine these two words, it would mean that a person who has an equal standing or equal expertise in the research area as the writer of the manuscript is going to critically examine the research manuscript submitted by us. Okay, this is the meaning of the word peer-reviewed. From here, we will move on to the second section where I tell you what exactly is a peer-reviewed journal. So, peer-reviewed journal has on board with them a number of experts. These experts, also known as reviewers or peers, are the ones to whom we submit our manuscripts. So all the manuscripts that are submitted to a peer-reviewed journal are moved on to these peers, to these experts. These peers, these reviewers critically examine all the manuscripts that are submitted in their area of research, and after critically examining the manuscript, they decide whether that manuscript is should be accepted, should be rejected, or it should be written again. So basically the fate of the manuscript or our research papers which is submitted to the peer-reviewed journal is decided, is critically examined by the peers which are impaneled by these journals. That is the meaning of a peer-reviewed journal. From here we move on to our next section where I'm going to explain in step by step how these peers or what happens exactly after you submit your manuscript to a peer-reviewed journal. So I'm sure that you also want to know that who exactly are these peers that are impaneled with the journals. So these peers are people like you and me only. For example, I am impaneled in a number of journals of my area of expertise. Similarly, if your area of expertise is, say, data analytics, then you can also get impaneled with some journal related to data analytics. So it is basically teachers, professors, and even industry experts who are impaneled with these different journals, and then these journals send the paper to these peers for reviewing. How exactly does that happen? What is the process of this review? How are these papers sent to us, to the peers? Let me tell you all this, or the entire process of what happens exactly once you've submitted your manuscript to a peer-reviewed journal in my next section. So on the screen you can see a diagram. On this diagram I've clearly mentioned the broad 5 steps which are followed by a peer-reviewed journal. So step 1 is that you will submit your manuscript to a peer-reviewed journal. This should be a blind submission, meaning that you need to remove your name and your affiliation from the mains manuscript. These instructions would be given to you by the journal itself when you are submitting it on their portal. Okay, so after the blind submission, your manuscript goes to the editor. Now, no matter how many peers you have, every journal is going to have an editor and maybe even 2 or 3 sub-editors. Now this journal, it goes to the editor first. The editor is going to initially review your script to see whether it is following all the guidelines and whether it is even worthy enough to be sent for further processing to the peers. If the editor likes the manuscript, if they feel it is a good manuscript, then they are going to send it further to the peers. In case they do not find it worth it, then your manuscript would be desk rejected. So we call it as desk rejection. That means the editor has not even sent your manuscript to the reviewers, they've rejected it on their desk only. So after that, the third step would be that your script is sent to at least 2 or 3 reviewers. Now these 2, 3, 4, 5 reviewers to whom your manuscript goes is randomly selected by the editor. So they, as I said, for example, if your manuscript is related to data analytics, they have a group of experts with them. They have a list of reviewers with them who are expert in that area, and based on that expertise, they are going to blindly send your manuscript to these reviewers. So at step 4, the reviewers are going to critically evaluate, critically examine your manuscript. Now each of these reviewers are independent, they do not know each other, and independently they are going to evaluate your manuscript and send their final comments or their review on your manuscript, which brings us to the step number 5, which is the result or the final review comments from the reviewers. So reviewers will write a lot of comments on your manuscript. How did they find the manuscript? Was it useful? How was the language? How was it written? So on and so forth. In the end, there would be the final decision that they've made on your manuscript. So these decision, broadly I'm defining it here, they could either accept your manuscript for publication, they could reject it completely. But majority of them, what they do is they tell you to make revisions in your manuscript. So there are minor revisions, there are major revisions, then you have to send back your manuscript and the entire evaluation process, critical examination process starts again. And this will continue till the time your manuscript is either finally accepted or rejected. Okay, and it could be any number of revisions. So 2 revisions, 3 revisions also happen. This is the entire process of manuscript reviewing by a peer-reviewed journal. From here we move on to our next section where I'm going to tell you how to identify a peer-reviewed journal. This is actually a very simple task. Whenever you have decided a particular journal in which you want to publish your paper, in which you want to send your manuscript for publication, please have a look on the top of the journal, on the inside of the journal. As I'm showing you certain examples on the screen, you can see very clearly on the journal page itself, they've written that it is a peer-reviewed journal. However, also always go inside where the description, so this is not on the journal and not inside the hard copy of the journal, on the website of the web page of the journal, and see in the description about the journal what they've written. So in the description of the journal, they will definitely write within the first few lines that it is a peer-reviewed journal or not. There is another term which they can use instead of peer-reviewed, which is refereed journal, which brings us to our next section. So basically, refereed journals and peer-reviewed journals are one and the same thing. Many times they use it as a continuous word for peer-reviewed refereed journals. Sometimes journals use it interchangeably. But yes, peer-reviewed and refereed journal mean the same thing. With this, we come to the last and the final section of this video, where we are going to tell you why is it so essential to only publish in a peer-reviewed journal. So if you watched our previous two videos in the series, the first one where we told you what is research and what is a research paper, and in the second video we had told you what are research journals and what are research publishers. So in these videos we had told you the meaning of research, which is creation of new knowledge. But this newly created knowledge is only valuable when it is accepted by your peer group as being relevant. When you publish something in a peer-reviewed journal, it is a direct proof that the new knowledge that you claim to have created through your research is actually considered as valuable by your peer group, by other researchers. And therefore, it is absolutely necessary that you publish only in a peer-reviewed journal. This is all about peer-reviewed journals or refereed journals. If you have any questions related to this, please put them in the comment section below. Please do suggest us what other topics do you want to learn about in your research journey. We would be happy to make videos on it. For one-to-one PhD mentoring and guidance sessions, you can reach me on the number given below. Thank you so much for watching my video. Have a nice week ahead.